He's handling very good. And remember, he's running behind Buddy Lazier there in the purple car, Ron Hamilgarn's car. He's getting dirty air back there, so he's got the worst of the deal. Buddy, of course, is running in clean air. He can run kind of where he wants, and he's going to run a little bit where he makes sure he gives him dirty air behind.
Well, there's going to be some dirty air, but he also yanks him down those two straightaways by breaking that air for him, and that toe helps Ari a little bit. You can see right there the gap behind him. There was no Tony Stewart in that gap, so Ari's obviously pulling away. Looks like his car's handling awful well.
That's a deal of fuel. Tony Stewart, everything we watch today, as long as he stays in this race, will be predicated on fuel consumption.
I don't know what that was, Bobby, but did you see his hand going down like he shifted up to a taller gear? He might be pulling a lot of RPM being behind Lazier, and he looked like he shifted it into sixth there.
Yes, and that's another thing we'll mention, folks, that everybody in this race has two gears, one for like an overdrive and one for speed. And Bobby, they'll do those.
Bobby, that's exactly what they started. Tony Stewart's team talked about having what they called a cruise gear when they weren't in traffic. They wanted to maintain a certain RPM. So in sixth gear, there's one gear set up when he's out in clean air, and then in the fifth gear, there's another setup that he can run when he's in the draft. Remember the day before qualifying, Tony Stewart caught a draft when he was in that high gear, and he blew the motor. So they got to go back and forth, but that's one of their strategies here.
Right on, Jack, and remember, fifth gear, the one that turns the most RPM, the go gear, that uses more fuel.
One thing I've noticed here too, guys, is that Ari Leyendijk seems to be shifting up and down as he goes down the straightaway some way, but he's really not making any ground on Buddy Lazier. They're now turning about the same time, but he's not right up behind him, is he, Bobby?
No, and then it's what you said. It's easy to get that draft to move up. It's a lot harder to pass because the air gets more turbulent as he gets closer.
But with this battle, Roberto Guerrero's lead has been whittling down. Buddy Lazier is very definitely catching him. Back at Indianapolis, we are under yellow here. Debris on the track is the reason for the yellow, and so most of the field now heading down on the pit road for stops, and some developments will continue to track this. The leader, of course, is Roberto Guerrero. He leads that group in. Buddy Lazier second, Ari Leyendijk third. They are all right in order there. Fourth place car is back in the line. That is Eliseo Salazar, and then Davi Jones and Alessandro Zampedri. So we watch Leyendijk.
This is going to be the time, Paul, this is going to be the time to see how good the pit crews are right now. Let's see who's first out. They all came in together.
Let's go to Jack.
Well, as Roberto Guerrero gets his service, so does Tony Stewart. Now, Tony had a little bit of a problem just before the yellow flag came out. They've been adjusting on the boost pressure just a bit, and it leads me to believe they might be trying to conserve fuel. But what happened, according to the engineer, is that Tony may have gone the wrong way and literally popped the valve off. And that caution allowed him to get it back reseated. Larry, we understand that maybe Tony had actually popped the valve, and that caution was fortuitous for you because you could get it reseated, right?
Yeah, we wasn't sure. You know, we heard it, but all the vitals looked good, and so we decided that we'd go ahead and take advantage of the caution, which seems to be fine.
Boy, what a drama we have in Roberto Guerrero. The stop went long. They reseated the fuel several times. Finally, they got him rolling out. Then he stalled the car, reminiscent of a previous race, and now he's rolling.
And, Paul, I've also got to mention that contest that I talked about when they all came to the pits together. The Ron Hamilgarn, Ron Dawes, the chief mechanic, beat everybody else with Buddy Lazier's car out. Now, that's the kind of pit stops I like to see.
A car stopped on the circuit.
Looks like Scott Harrington in the 44
exactly
car.
Who it is. Remember, he had his problems earlier in the day, and he just wants to get going. Now, well, we'll keep track of him. Don't forget that Saturday, ABC's Professional Bowlers Tour will roll into Connecticut for the Greater Hartford Open. And the top stars of the PGA Tour meet at Jack's Place for one of golf's premier events. Join us for the Memorial Tournament sponsored by Dean Witter. That's Saturday here on ABC Sports. So under yet another yellow, and this is the fifth of the day. A number of interesting circumstances developing. We saw the stopped car of Scott Harrington, and we saw the problems for Roberto Guerrero. So let's take a look at how we update the stories that we mentioned right at the start of the race to you. First of all, there was that question of attrition. Well, that doesn't seem to be abnormal in any sense of the word. The attrition about where we expected it to be. Arie Luyendyk, second fastest qualifier, carved his way through that field. Been up at the front, now third. Danny Ongaias, well, he's 33rd, had problems in his day, back up to 13th place after starting in 33rd. And Team Menard, look at their cars. Interesting combinations, but Stewart still very much in the fight. Let's go down to we take a look at the rookies. 17 started, 6 are in the top 15, so the rookies doing very well. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, remember we've been talking about the 12 teams that have the brand new type of fueling nozzle. Well, here it is, and the way it works, you have to push it in, turn it, and push it again. That's the problem when Roberto Guerrero stopped. They pushed it in, they didn't get it turned, couldn't get it seated. They didn't get the fuel in the amount of time they were supposed to. They had a problem.
Once again, this yellow was for debris. There was a piece of a pit board on the front stretch. They were also looking at the back. And so we're under yellow now with 71 laps complete. Becomes the fourth leader today, following in the line of Stewart, Lazier, Roberto Guerrero. Buddy Lazier, of course, is driving with fractured vertebrae, and he has that special seat. Then Tony Stewart, the rookie, Eliseo Salazar, veteran here, Alessandro Zampedri, and Arie Luyendyk. Those are the top 6 in the field, still under the yellow. Now, one of the drivers being reported out is Marco Greco, Gary Jones.
Motor problems have put you out of the race, Marco, but what I'm curious about, what is the month of May driving for A.J. Foyt been like for a Brazilian driver?
Well, it's great for work with a man like him because he's really a winner. He won not on the race, but he won with me. I really like AJ with the opportunity he gave me, and I look forward, if there is any possibility more, to work together again.
Thank you.
All right, you saw Davi Jones make a quick move at the front of the field as we've gone back green, and they did it without warning for us. So we continue now to watch that battle. Lazier, Stewart, Luyendyk, they're all right together.
And also
the purple car, that's Buddy Lazier, and that's Stewart chasing him in the bright yellow and orange car, Bobby.
And also keep in mind, Davi Jones did not pit. He's light on fuel. All these other guys, like Buddy Lazier right there in the purple car, right behind him, there's Tony Stewart. They have full loads of fuel in their cars.
Now, I think what we're seeing here is a little bit of strategy. I think that's probably Gallus Racing betting that they're going to go yellow soon.
And that's Rick Gallus. He's a good strategist. He's watched guys like Roger Penske operate for years, so he's gambling something else, Danny, like hoping for another yellow.
Luyendyk jumped out, moved around 4th place. Alessandro Zampedri picked up 4th place. It's Jones, Lazier, Stewart, Luyendyk. The track on Arie Luyendyk, the red and white car number 5. Jones, apparently his owner, Rick Gallus. There's Lazier, there's the 2nd place car, and there is Stewart, and there is Luyendyk. That's the top 4 for you.
It's developing into a good race, folks.
So tracking the battle at the front of the field, first 4 positions. They're running together on the racetrack. Jones turned the last lap at 226, while Lazier was up at 227.2 miles an hour. There's Stewart.
And interesting enough, like coming through turn 2, almost all of their grooves are virtually identical right now. Something we didn't have early in the race, Paul.
On board, Arie Luyendyk has been the fastest car through the early part of the race, matching the laps of Tony Stewart, exceeding them. Stewart trying to close on Buddy Lazier. Here comes Luyendyk. Jones is still the leader of the race by 3.6 seconds. Sorry, Bobby.
We know that Luyendyck's car is handling better than it was earlier, and you can watch it as he goes through the turns. He seems to be very sure, not coming near the walls anymore.
It looks like, too, there with Tony Stewart closing a little bit on Buddy Lazier, that maybe their strategy on this fuel run is going to be a little bit different. So
Stewart sets up on the back of Luyendyk, while the leader leader of the race is Davi Jones, Jack.
Well, let's talk about Davi Jones. You were speculating as to maybe there was some strategy being pulled by Rick Gallis. That indeed is the case. What Rick is trying to do is back the race back up. Get